So, Beruchim Habayim, B'Shem Hashem. As always, I'm extremely happy to see everyone. I want to share with you tonight an idea, a point that I believe has an enormous effect in our lives, in so many different components of our lives. And I want to warn us that it could very be that what I'm going to talk about might not have an easy way to hear it, let alone to agree with that, and let alone to digest it and really move it to practice in life. It's a little sensitive topic that there are many people in the world, when they hear it, they might have, a rejection attitude towards that. But we're going to say it the way it is, and if people don't like it, I highly suggest and recommend for everyone to try to practice it, because only when we practice it, it begins to give us the sense of the truth of it and the power and the meaning of it. I think it's true to believe that one of the fundamental concepts, one of the fundamental distinctions that makes our society and makes life and healthy society and healthy environment and healthy life has to do with the concept of chesed, has to do with the concept of kindness. Kindness is a kind of behavior, which is pretty simple, that gives us the ability, the openness in our hearts, in our minds, in our entire being. It gives us the openness, it gives us the possibility, the space of being able to see each other with the clear glasses, to see each other with a sense of understanding other people's needs, to understand that when we live life from a space of being in service to one another, understand who you are, what your needs are, and being able to serve other people with kindness, with goodness, with compassion, it's usually a source that creates and generates a beautiful society, healthy life. Healthy life when we are not living life for us, but rather being kind to other people. And being kind to others means a lot of different steps, and it being manifest in many different domains in life. We can be kind to others. We can be kind to ourselves. We can be kind to people that we understand, and we can be kind to people that we don't understand. We can be kind to people that we don't understand their needs because we don't have the same needs they have. And we don't call what they need a need because we don't have the same need. But I think it's across the board true to say that when we are kind to people, and when you have a group of people that have one mission and one mission only, and the mission is, what can I do for you? We are basically going to create a very healthy environment. I will never forget, I got to tell you this, because chesed, kindness, is not just a privileged space to create. In the Torah values, chesed, kindness, is the foundation of life. In other words, when we have kindness, we have life. When life is not about kindness, it's not that we are missing a quality of life. Excuse me. We are basically missing life itself. I will share with you a quick story which made an enormous impact in my life. Many years ago, I don't know if you ever heard about one of the greatest, most powerful and profound Jewish communities in the world in Panama. Panama has one of the most powerful Jewish communities in the world. And it is an amazing, amazing phenomenon. If you've ever been there, and if not, I highly recommend you to go. When you go to Panama, to Bet HaKnesset, most of the community is Halabiyin, is people from Syria, from Damascus, Damascus is the Shamim, but the Halabiyin are people from Halab, from Syria, Syrian Jews. If you go there in the community, it's a mind-boggling picture that you're going to see. You're going to see on a weekday, on Monday, Tuesday, any day, you're going to see in Bet HaKnesset at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock, Shaharit, on a weekday. 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's not a big community. You're going to see 500-600 people for Shaharit. At 6 o'clock in the morning, and a minyan finishes at 7 o'clock, and at 7 o'clock there is another minyan with the same amount of people. When you go out of Bet HaKnesset, you're going to see, this is one of the Bet HaKnesset. When you go out of Bet HaKnesset every single morning, you're going to see the breakfast you never saw in your life in the Hilton Hotel in Yerushalayim. Like a magnificent breakfast every single day. Amazing, Beli Ayin Hara, a beautiful community. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu keep blessing them. This community was not built from nowhere. This community had a leader, but a leader in a very, very, very high caliber. His name is Hacham Tzion Levi, alav shalom. He passed away a few years ago. Hacham Tzion Levi was the leader of this community for the past 60 years. Almost 60 years. And he was a giant in Torah. And alongside with that, he was very powerful in understanding humanity and understanding community and understanding building people. He was a very powerful human being with an old-fashioned style, Hacham. He was the Havruta of Hacham Ovadia Yosef, alav shalom, Hacham ben Zion Abba Shaul, alav shalom, giants of Yerushalayim, of Chachmei Yeshivat Porat Yosef of this time. I traveled to Panama many, many times in my life, but at that particular trip, I traveled to Panama for a wedding. And then Shaharit morning, I came up with an idea. And I said to myself, I'm going to interview Hacham Tzion Levi on leadership. I want to understand Jewish leadership. This is the giant of all leaders in Am Yisrael in this generation. He built a community to levels that are imaginable, and unimaginable. And he created such a beautiful community. Hello, go to a successful man and ask him how he did this. So immediately after Tfilah, I went to the Hacham and I said, Hacham, he knew me a little bit. He didn't know me, what to know about me, but we knew each other. So I went to him and I said, Hacham, he spoke in Hebrew, he spoke Hebrew. I said, Hacham, I want to interview you. So you take a Hacham in this age and you tell him you want to interview him from a million years ago. He doesn't know what you want. What are you talking about? Nobody ever interviewed Hacham Tzion Levi, ever. He said to me, I don't know what you want. Go away. I don't need you. I said, Hacham, I need to interview you. Whatever. I used all kind of manipulation skills to convince him that I want to interview him. He said, okay, it's coming Sunday morning at 9:30 in the morning. I'm going to give you 15 minutes of my life. And it is going to be a gemilut hasadim. That's what he said. I'm going to do a favor to you. I'm going to be kind to you. I said, Hacham, 15 minutes is great. Sunday, 9:30 in the morning. Thursday, Friday, I take my computer and I start to write all the questions. I have prepared an amazing interview. I want to know everything. I prepared 45 questions to ask. I had 15 minutes, but I prepared 45 questions. I don't know what I will be able to ask. I could not predict what's going to happen, but I said, fine. Sunday morning, I couldn't find my passport, and that's why it delayed. I was looking for it, and it delayed my ability to be in the meeting, so I came 9:35. 5 minutes late. I said to myself, what's going to happen? How bad it's going to be? 5 minutes, he's a 75 years old man. I mean, Hacham, obviously. 75 years old man, do you think he's going to look at the watch? Is it 5 minutes, not 5 minutes? Not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So he's sitting on a bench out of his office in Shevet Ahim Bet HaKnesset, and I come at 9:35, but I was a little sensitive to the time, and I said, Hacham, Mehila, forgive me, I came 5 minutes late. He said, listen, when I say 9:30, it means 9:30. You had 15 minutes, now you have 10 minutes, and this is the first lesson of leadership. That's his words. Obviously, I took a very deep breath. I inhaled the concept and accepted it fully. That's the first rule. Be on time. Be the person of your word. You said you're going to be here at 9:30, be at 9:30. In any case, we go to the room, and I have now 10 minutes. I opened my computer. I said, close this. You don't need this. What do you want? Now, to be quite honest, I can tell you that story for 3 hours right now, just to share with you the entire interview. I even wrote it down and published it in many, many magazines. It is the only interview Hacham Tzion Levi ever had in his entire life. And to make a very long story short, this interview took place for 3.5 hours. He allowed me 3.5 hours. It was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life, speaking to a giant of powerful leader that really can express and can elaborate the skills that he had, the methods that he used to build a community. Magnificent. I mean, you can write it down if you want. I can forward it to you. If you have time, I have it in email, I have it in Hebrew, I have it in English. When Hacham Tzion Levi niftar, when he passed away, the community asked me if I can publish that because it was like a rare interview. Very, very powerful messages that he gave me, and I did publish that. So in case you are interested, I'll send it to you. In any case, I went to him and I said, Hacham, that was my first question. I said, what's the secret of your leadership? Mashallah, Beli Ain Hara, it's such a beautiful community. Hundreds of people for Shacharit, hundreds of people for Minha, hundreds of people for Selihot. I mean, Beli Ain Hara, you see a live, vibrate community. Somebody have created it. He said to me, let me tell you this. He said to me two things which were incredibly, incredibly profound. He said, look, when I came to Panama, we had 6 people on Shabbat in Bet HaKnesset, his words. 6 people on Shabbat in Bet HaKnesset. And people used to come in all different kinds of ways to Bet HaKnesset, Allah Hakli, not Allah Hakli, whatever the situation was, people showed up little bit by little bit. He said to me, look, I have decided that if I want to build a community, I have to build a foundation first. I did not teach people anything before I taught them the concept of giving, the concept of Hesed. He said the following words. He said, a Yehudi, this is his words, Yehudi that does not keep Shabbat is a Yehudi that does not keep Shabbat. Yehudi that doesn't eat kasher is a Yehudi that doesn't eat kasher. Yehudi that doesn't do a mitzvah is a Yehudi, is a Jew that doesn't do a mitzvah. He said Yehudi that doesn't have Hesed is just simply not a human being. He said when you build people of kindness, you will see the results that you see today. He said, I taught the people, I moved them into practices of helping and supporting others. You open your heart for others, Yahadut is showing up in such a powerful way that can generate the kind of success you see today. But he said to me, you have to understand that you can never teach others kindness if you are not willing to practice it yourself. He said, I want you to know, you guys, that's what he told me. He said, you guys are young people. You think life is Wi-Fi. Everything is right here, right fast, very, very fast. He said, you have to understand, for 20 years, I did not have what to eat in Panama. He said, I was eating soup for 20 years. To be here, and I suffered for the community. He said, if you're not willing to give everything you have for the community, do not imagine such a success. He said, but you guys are living life in a very cuckoo way that you believe you come here, you see the success, you come to me, he made fun of me. I said, you come to me and say, what's the secret? What do you think, this is a recipe for a cake? You think I'm going to give you do A and B and C? No, 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 no. Life is a process. Life takes time to develop, to plant, to grow, to really, really get to end result. You have to give everything you got for the community, and then you're going to see the results. Do not come here. Ask me, what's the secret? This is American. He told me, this is American. Ata Amerikai, yani. You know, you care about what's the secret? The secret of a beautiful life, which is the society we live in. You know, the 3 steps that will take you to success. The 5 steps that you will be, you know, a rich person. And all kinds of false promises we make to people. He said to me, kindness is the foundation of everything. You have kindness, you have everything. You don't have kindness, you cannot build on nothing. Yahadut will never resonate. Yahadut will never dwell on evil people who doesn't have the power of chesed. Baruch Hashem, Rabotai, it is true to say, Baruch Hashem, Ashrei Israel, it is so beautiful to see that kindness is the foundation of many, many, many beautiful organizations among Jewish people. And not only the Jewish people, when we talk about us, it is beautiful to see that there are so many individuals and organizations that are doing miracles. If I want to go and excuse me, and really share what I know, which is less than nothing, if I will share what I know about the world of Chesed, we will need many, many, many hours to be here. And Baruch Hashem, it is beautiful to see, if you look in the community here in Los Angeles, and if you go to any places, let alone the community in Eretz Israel, there are hundreds of organizations of Hesed that people are willing to give. Hesed can be money, Hesed can be time, Hesed can be giving your heart, you're giving your ears, you're listening to someone, you are being there for someone, and you are really, really giving whatever you have. And sometimes it goes to even an extreme level. I can tell you this, here in LA, we don't even pay attention to this, but I can tell you on a pretty personal note, I remember not too long ago, about 2 years ago, there was a man in the valley. I will not mention his name because this is, you know, not my place to do it. I wish I could mention his name. But a man that I'm very, very close to. I love and adore this person. And I hold him very, very close to my heart, very close to my heart. And I used to meet him frequently. And one day he called me up and he said, next week I will not be able to meet. I don't feel well. I immediately, somebody close to me, I said, I don't feel well. I said, hey, what's wrong? What happened? I said, no, don't worry. It's a little flu. I'll be good. I just need a few days of rest. I said, fine. A week passed and I met him the following week. And I see him a little low in energy. A man you see among us, just a regular human being, a regular Jew. I see him a little weak. And I went to him, I said, what's happening? That's not flu. I know you. You're a strong guy. I said, no, it's great. I mean, I know when somebody tells me the truth, when not. So I took him to a room and I said, sit down. Oh, tell me what's happening. And he crushed me when he told me what's happening. He told me, nothing happened. I just have a neighbor that I know that he was suffering from dialysis. You know, his kidney failed for many, many years. I don't know, many, many years, but for a long time. And he has kids and his life is on the line. And I went and I offered him to check if I can be a donor for his kidney. And test came back positive. And last week I gave him a kidney. Not a family member, not a family member, not somebody that asked him for it, not someone that pays him for it. A regular human being that you and I see and we think, hey, hi, he's a good guy, he's just a simple Jew, just a regular guy. And I was very, very emotional when I heard that. And I said to him, look, I've learned a lot about Chesed. I lectured a lot about Chesed. And I'm still learning about people that do Chesed. But I never met a person who went on a surgery under the knives of surgeons in the hospital to give a kidney. To risk your life for another person, not by words, by actions. Being kind is not kind by speaking about Chesed. Being kind is not a kind of a person who believes he has a good heart. Being kind is a person, in Hebrew we say, sheyesh lo kabbalot, meaning he can show proofs that he is doing Chesed. Chesed is not something we speak about or believe in or preach about. Chesed is someone who can actually go ahead and say every single day before you go to sleep, you ask yourself a very simple question. What did I do good today to anyone, to someone? What kind of a goodness did I do? Who is the person I've touched today, if any? And if the answer is no, please do not fool yourself that you are a man of kindness, that you are a person of kindness, because you're not. Just because you speak nicely about Chesed, it means nothing that you are Baal Chesed. And I got to tell you, when I looked at this man, I learned so much about the power of humanity to really be kind to others. And I can talk about Chesed forever with so many emotional and heartfelt organizations that are doing miracles in people's life. We can go from Yad Sarah to recently in the news of Elimelech Führer, if you ever know who he is. Rabbi Führer, if you don't know who he is, that means, Baruch Hashem, you're very healthy. But Rabbi Führer really deserves hours of conversation and discussion about who he is and his giant heart that he has. He is, you know who he is? You know who Rabbi Führer is? He is a giant in Israel who is connected, who is connecting people, sick people, anybody with any kind of illness in the world to the best doctors in the world. He knows every single sickness exists in the world, every single one of them, and who are the doctors to be the best to operate in that situation or to treat that illness. And this is what he's doing, literally speaking, 24 hours a day. People say that they don't know when he's sleeping. But if you know him, he doesn't have a medical background, he's not a doctor, but he knows way more than most doctors in the world know about anything. And this is what he's doing for the past, No. His knowledge, accumulated knowledge. He's a knowledge. No, he's knowledgeable today, but he doesn't have a formal medical, school. A giant, but his entire life is dedicating to help people. God forbid we should never know, we should never need him. But I have experienced needed him, and I can tell you, it is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I can tell you stories upon stories that I personally was involved in. He knows that in Boston there is this hospital and this doctor does this particular surgery, and he did already 3,500 of those, and nobody else did except the other guy in Virginia that does only 2,000 of them and doesn't have experience with that age. This guy is olam חסד, עולם של חסד of one man show, עולם של חסד. השתבח שמו, ברוך השם, עם ישראל, לא אלבד ישראל, and we have so many organizations and individuals, people that are dedicating their life to giving. All of this could only be possible because someone engraved in our DNA the concept of Hesed. That's Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, we know, and it's clear that when we read those parashiyot, Parashat Lech Lecha and Parashat VAYERA and further on, we should know that Avraham Avinu did not perform Hesed. Avraham Avinu did not act in Hesed. Avraham Avinu invented Hesed, and Avraham Avinu engraved and designed Jewish DNA to act in the world of Hesed. So basically every single thing that Avraham Avinu did, when we learn what he did, we can learn it with an understanding of who we are. You want to know what kind of a power of Hesed we have? Look at what Avraham Avinu did, and when you can see what Avraham Avinu did, you will have a chance to discover, to identify your own DNA and go ahead and act upon it because you can and you have it inside you. And we know Avraham Avinu in this week's parasha, the Torah said, "Vayera elav Hashem be'elonim mamre v'hu yoshev petach ha'oel kechom hayom." I'm going to take advantage to the fact, to the belief that I have, that most people in the world know this story already. But we know that Avraham Avinu was on the third day after his Brit Milah, and he was in pain, but not in pain of the Brit Milah only. He was in pain that because of 3 days after the Brit Milah, people did not come to visit him. Avraham Avinu could not live life without guests. Avraham Avinu could not feel satisfied and happy and fulfilled if he is not involved in the world of Hesed. If he's not involved in finding people that have no place to go, and he can go to them and he can really welcome them and bring them home and take care of them in an immeasurable way. And in that day, the Torah said that Avraham Avinu had a very interesting visitor. Who was the visitor? Kadosh Baruch Hu be'atzmo, Borei Olam. Vayera elav Hashem be'elonim mamre. V'hu yoshev petach ha'oel kechom hayom. Avraham Avinu is sitting at the opening, the entrance of his tent. And Kadosh Baruch Hu came to visit, knock on the door, says, "Shalom aleichem, Rabbi Avraham. How are you, Habibi? I love you dearly. I came to visit you." And obviously, Avraham Avinu welcomed Borei Olam, and they are together. Vayera elav Hashem be'elonim mamre. I know, I'm very clear on that I can speak about this for the rest of my life. I have no clue what it means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to visit. I don't know. But if you today know somebody that says HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to visit me, check the most expensive psychiatrist in town. But in general, with Avraham Avinu is definitely the case. Definitely the case that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did come to visit him. And then Avraham Avinu, Vayar v'ineh shelosha anashim nitzavim alav. Avraham Avinu sees 3 people, and you know the names of these people. The Midrash said that they seems to be like an Aravim, you know, like Arab people. Yeah, Mustafa, Samir, and Muhammad. We just made up some names. But Avraham Avinu sees 3 Arabs on the street. Now he is in a conflict. Achnasat Rohim is what he likes to do. Achnasat Rohim and Hesed, it is his calling. This is his mission in life. This is his essence. He needs to go, he wants to go to catch them and to go to serve them. But he has a conflict because he has a guest. He has a guest. Borei Olam is there. What is he going to do now? Stay with HaKadosh Baruch Hu to honor HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or to go? By the way, don't get overwhelmingly conflicted about this. Excuse me, because many of the Hachamim said it's not a conflict. It's not a conflict. Serving guest in the world of Hesed, it is exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. So Hesed is not contradicting HaKadosh Baruch Hu as visitor, but nevertheless, Hachamim said, since Avraham Avinu just left Borei Olam, he said, Borei Olam, I'll be right back. And he ran to the Arabs. The Gemara said that from here we learn, Gedola achnasat orchim, yoter mikabbalat penei shechina. It is a higher space to be, and it is a higher in value to accept and to welcome and to serve guests than welcoming Borei Olam bichvodo ba'atzmo. It's a topic on its own, but this is what Avraham Avinu does. Now, the truth of the matter is that when you look at what Avraham Avinu does, you get very touched. It's incredible. It's really beautiful. You're being encouraged. You're being inspired. Hesed. It's a beautiful, beautiful foundation to have. But if we are a little brave, really brave, and go a little deeper into the story, we might feel a little discomfort. And the Hebrew word is lichora. Lichora means apparently. Apparently. Apparently, on a surface level, we might feel a little discomfort, and I'll share with you this discomfort. The Torah describes to us what Avraham Avinu did, and he ran to these Arabs, ויאמר אדוני, אם מצאתי חן בעיניך, אל נא תעבור מעל עבדיך, יוקח נא מעט מים, ורחצו רגליכם, ושענו תחת העץ. Please do not go away, stay with me. I'm going to serve you with water, you can wash your feet, and I will give you bread, and I will give you this, and I will give you that. And he goes to Sarah, and he said, please bake the cakes. מעריש 3 שאים קמח סולת, לו 17 עוגות, make some, cakes for the guest. And then he goes, ואל הבקר רץ אברהם, ויקח בן בקר אחוותו ויתן אל הנער, וימהר לעשות אותו. Basically, Avraham Avinu took 3 cows and slaughtered all 3 in order to serve the guest with the tongue. Every single one of them. They probably had a great appetite because the tongue of a cow is huge. By the way, I don't want to talk about it, but it's not my cup of tea. I don't like it in any shape and form. I don't want to say worse words than that, but you can use your imagination and add a little bit more in the end. A tongue is not, by the way, anything that is not just steak itself, not my cup of tea, but this is just a personal observation. I guess for them it was great, and Avraham Avinu knew that this is important for them. And he took 3 cows and slaughtered them in order to be able to serve them with tongue, with hardal, yes, with mustard. Hesed, beautiful hesed, amazing hesed, powerful hesed. But when you take a deep breath and you take a step back and you ask yourself, wait a second, this is hesed? Is that what it means? Is that what we learn from Avraham Avinu? Should we really? And by the way, this is one of the things that you can tell people, don't try it at home. Could you imagine if any average man of our generation comes to his wife at 7 o'clock in the morning with Samir, Mustafa, and Muhammad and 3 cows? Try to envision that for a second. And he goes to his wife and he says, Esther, Aslamat al-Azizah, Shalom Aleichem, ma shlomech? We are very lucky today. We have 3 guests. Ine, Muhammad, Mustafa, and Samir. And they look at her and say, Marhaba, Salamat Aleik, Salam al Khair. And Esther, relax, we're going to serve them. Here are 3 cows. Every single one of them, we're going to make them the best tongue in town. Abotai, in all honesty, this is hesed or overboard? This is hesed. Is that what we need to do? When Avraham Avinu wants to welcome guests and to serve them and feed them beautiful. But is that the level of Hesed we need to do? This is not like overboard. When you make $1,000 a month, imagine that. You make $1,000 a month and you have 5 kids at home and a wife. And a poor guy knocks on your door and say, please, I need tzedakah, I don't have anything. And you got $1,000 in your pocket. This is what you made the entire month. And you take $1 and you give to this poor guy. Did you fulfill mitzvah tzedakah? Yes. This is Hesed? Yes. But what do you say about the person who pulled out the entire $1,000 and gave it to the poor guy? What do we call him? We call him, wow, you are incredible. But Hesed, always say, sir, we need to talk. We need to have a one-on-one conversation. Something is off. Apparently, something is off. $1,000? When all you have is this? What are you talking about? I'm doing Hesed. Sir, Hesed also has to be somewhere, somehow, somewhat within the framework, within the infrastructure of, I don't know what to call it, normality. Is serving 3 Arabs, 3 tongues, is Hesed? But we know that the Torah praised Avraham Avinu for that, and it definitely should be praised, 100%. But all I'm saying is, and the way I say it, I'm going a little extreme in describing it, but it's just to make the point that we have an obligation to learn it, to study it. Why it is important to study it in that way? It's simply because Avraham Avinu is our role model. Avraham Avinu is our role model. Avraham Avinu is the one, we have his DNA. Every single thing Avraham Avinu did is a lesson for us to study. Every single one. I remember once I heard, there was a rabbi that had some guest in his house on Friday night. And he got up, the rabbi got up, and started to serve the people with the fish, with the salads, with whatever, the food, the drink. He started to go from plate to plate and serve people. And one of the guests, one of the person in the community said, Hacham, I'm very embarrassed. I mean, it's disrespectful. Hacham, that's not nice. We're not comfortable. You're serving us. It's not nice. So this Hacham looked at him and he said, my friend, if it was okay for Avraham Avinu to serve Arabs, it is okay for me to serve Jews. We got it all mixed up. Well, I'm serving you, that's disrespectful to me. There is nothing more respectful than serving one another. When you pay attention to this, you understand that we are living in an upside-down universe. So yes, everything Avraham Avinu did, it is for us to copy and paste. So when we read that story, is that what we need to learn? That's why I'm emphasizing the question that way. Let's leave this point aside for a minute. And we're going to go to the continuation of the story. Remember, those 3 people were 3 angels, and they came lerapot et Avraham, and levaser leSarah, and to destroy Sodom. And it's pretty interesting that alongside with the world of Hesed of Avraham Avinu, there is another establishment right across the street from him that's called Sodom VaAmorah. Sodom VaAmorah was a place that in Yiddish they call it Pum Fakeret. You know what Pum Fakeret is? Like the exact opposite. In Hebrew we say it's the antithesa. It's the exact opposite of Avraham Avinu. Sodom VaAmorah was a place of the worst of all worst people on earth. The most cruel people, the most evil people on earth. Excuse me. As the Torah stated, ואנשי סדום רעים וחטאים להשם מאוד. The people of Sodom were bad and evil towards Hashem, meod, very much so. So you can imagine the two schools of life. Avraham Avinu was on one side, full of hesed and kindness and giving. And on the other side, we have Sodom v'Amorah. We don't have the time now, but the Gemara and Midrashim has enormous amount of stories to describe the people of Sodom, how bad they were. And I remember, and I'm sure you do too, since we were kids, we were told that Anshe Sodom used to bring guests to town, and any guest who was sneaking into town, they had special beds for him. And if he was taller than the bed, they could cut his feet. And if he was smaller than the bed, they stretch him physically. They tortured people. They tortured people that opened their heart to give anything. The old story with those Riva that went to the well, went to the Be'er, and she gave food. She gave a piece of bread to a poor guy, and they covered her with honey, so animals will come to poke her to death. I mean, evil of all evil. To the point that HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided not to deal with them, but to wipe them out. אנשי סדום רעים וחטאים להשם מאוד. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided that the world without Hesed has no justification to exist. Sodom, Control, Alt, Delete. Shabbat Shalom umevorach. You're out. But before HaKadosh Baruch Hu does it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I need to share my plans with Avraham Avinu. I need to tell Avraham Avinu what I'm about to do. Now, if the Torah would say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I needed to let Avraham know my plans towards Sodom, it's one thing. Why does Avraham Avinu need to know? We can use 7 million explanations, and there are many commentaries of the Hachamim ala Torah that they describes why HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to tell Avraham what it does. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't say it this way. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't say, Vayomer Hashem or Hashem Amar, I'm going to tell Avraham what I'm about to do. This is not the language, and language is everything. The Torah said, Vashem Amar, Amchase ani me'Avraham asher ani oseh? Can I hide from Avraham my plans? Can I not tell him? It's impossible. I have to tell him. Why? In other words, it's not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I cannot use the word feels, but it's not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to share it with Avraham. It's not sharing. Pay attention to this, please. It's not about HaKadosh Baruch Hu desire to share with Avraham the news, the future, what's going to happen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I cannot destroy Sodom without letting Avraham know. In a way, I have to tell him. Amchase ani me'Avraham, can I cover it from him? Improper, lo yachol. I cannot not tell him. And the question is really, lama lo? HaKadosh Baruch Hu owe Avraham Avinu to tell him what to do. And the Torah said, why HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that he wanted to share it with Avraham? Ki yeda'ativ, because I know him. למען אשר יצווה את בניו ואת ביתו אחריו, ושמרו דרך השם לעשות צדקה ומשפט. למען אביא השם על אברהם את אשר דיבר עליו. Basically what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I have to tell Avraham Avinu that I'm going to do it. There's no way, shape, and form that I will hide it from him. I have to share. Okay. Why? Because I know Avraham Avinu is going to build many, many generations. Avraham Avinu is going to teach his kids to follow HaKadosh Baruch Hu way of life. Avraham Avinu is going to teach. Shalom Aleichem, Chacham. Beruchim Abayim. Avraham Avinu is going to teach his children in the education process in the right way. So it is important that I will share it with Avraham Avinu. Tov. And then, so we need to understand why did Hashem wanted or felt the almost, I mean, for a lack of a better word, almost an obligation to share it with Avraham. And then, Rabotai, the most mind-boggling point of this entire story has to do with our imagination. How do you believe should Avraham Avinu should react when he hears that news? Avraham Avinu, the power, the pillar, the foundation of Hesed in the world. Every single act, every single second of his life was acting in the way of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Verav Hesed, and whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, Avraham Avinu does. He is the epitome of Hesed in the world. There's nothing in his life that matters more than being there for people. And he himself knows, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him too, that there is a city called Sodom. And Sodom are evil. They're bad. They're terrible. They're cruel. They're against every single inch of his philosophy of life. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Avraham Avinu and he said, Avraham, I'm about to wipe those people out. What kind of a bottle of wine should Avraham Avinu open when he hears that news? In theory, you understand that concept? Evil is about to be wiped out. Avraham Avinu should take a violin and start dancing on the street. Baruch Hashem, Geula Higia. Baruch Hashem, this is the ultimate redemption. Evil is going to die. Avraham Avinu should celebrate. But not only he's not celebrating, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him this is what's going to happen, the Torah said, Vayigash Avraham vayomar. Vayigash is not that Avraham Avinu requested. It's not that Avraham Avinu is pleading. It's not that Avraham Avinu is begging to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The language in Hebrew, Vayigash, means he went forward to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with force. Usually, Vayigash is a language of a war. Vayigash elav Yehuda. It's a tough standing up. It is not about, let me talk to you. Vayigash elav means, Avraham Avinu said, I just heard the news about wiping out Sodom. And I cannot believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're doing this. And he filed a complaint. Not a request. A complaint. ויגש אברהם ויאמר, האף תספה צדיק עם רשע? ריבונו של עולם? ריבונו של עולם, are you going to destroy righteousness with evil? How can you do that? What righteousness is he talking about? What righteousness is he talking about? Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to destroy Sodom. Sodom is all evil. A to Z, beginning to end. It's evil. What exactly your concern? What exactly your worries right now? Ha'av tispeh tzaddik im rasha. Who is tzaddik? Rasha, I understand. He said, Ribono shel Olam, he can't do such a thing. And he continues. אולי יש 50 צדיקים בתוך העיר? אהב תספה ולא תיסע למקום. By the way, Hebrew words here, every single word in the Torah, but Hebrew words playing a huge role in really understanding the spirit and the power of the event. אולי יש 50 צדיקים בתוך, maybe you're going to find 50 righteous people in the city. אהב תספה ולא תיסע למקום למען 50 הצדיקים אשר בקרבה. Are you going to wipe out the city even if you find 50 righteous people in the city? חלילה לך. You can't do such a thing. מעשות כדבר הזה, להעמיד צדיק עם רשע. You cannot kill. You cannot destroy righteousness and evil. והיה כצדיק הרשע, but are you comparing the two? חלילה לך, you shall not do this. השופט כל הארץ לא יעשה משפט. The judge of all judges of the world will not judge injustice. אברהם אבינו, מלך העולם, קודש קודשים. אברהם אהובי. אבינו הגדול. אבינו הגדול, אברהם אבינו. Sodom is going to be wiped out. Celebrate. What are you negotiating? And then the Torah continues, 50, 45, 40, 30, 20, 10. Stories then. What are you complaining? What are you negotiating? It takes Avraham Avinu takes Borei Olam to downtown LA. Let's negotiate 40, 45, 50, 30, 20, 10. Ribono shel Olam, you can't do this. Halila lach. Halila, you shall not do this. השופט כל הארץ לא יעשה משפט. The judge of all judges will not do justice. Come on, how can it be possible? How can it be? So some people say, wow, it's unbelievable, you see? How Avraham Avinu took the world in his eyes, even evil, he cared for them. Rabotai, let's be honest. Certain evil has to be wiped out. With all due respect, this is a quality of Abraham to pray for Sodom. This is a ma'ala. First of all, the answer is yes. But for us to learn, that's what obviously, I'm not questioning if Avraham Avinu was, he doesn't need my approval, obviously. My point of making it this way is for us to learn. So you see evil. You see people who are cruel. You're not happy they're being wiped out. 2 weeks ago, one of the greatest leaders the biggest leaders of ISIS, Baruch Hashem, was sent by FedEx overnight to the next world. Should we mourn? Should we feel bad? A human being died? That's not even a human being. It's worse than an animal. There's no animal in the world can do what this person does. Person. Can't call it a person. Should we say Tehillim for him to stay alive? Sodom v'Amorah. רעים ואנשי סדום, רעים וחטאים להשם מאוד. Avraham Avinu not only negotiating, he is almost fighting it. He is fighting it. He's negotiating with power. חלילה לך. שופט כל הארץ לא יעשה משפט. Who are you talking about? Sodom. והיה כצדיק הרשע, you're going to destroy tzaddik and rasha, righteous with evil. What righteous did you find? Morai v'Rabotai, as I said at the very, very beginning, I don't think this is an easy thing to digest what I'm about to say. I really don't believe it's easy to say it. And I will not be surprised if some people will reject that and will feel resistance towards that idea. But I don't see any other way to look at it. We as people tend to believe that when we face evil, there are evil people. Bad people in the world. We divided the world to two groups, to the good, to the bad. Hesed and anti-Hesed. Hesed, Avraham Avinu and Sodom v'Amorah. להבדיל אלף אלפי הבדלות, חס ושלום, not to compare. ירושלים and Tel Aviv. Not to compare, not חס ושלום that Tel Aviv is Sodom, bar minan, חס ושלום, not even, but just the idea of two extreme opposites. Two extreme opposites. You see righteous people and you see less. Whatever is in our eyes good and whatever is in our eyes bad. But we see the conflict, the constant conflict in the world between good and bad all the time. Obviously, most people in the world tend to believe, or at least to convince themselves, that they are in the side of the good people. We're on the right side. We're not evil, Has v'Shalom, right? And not only we're not evil, we easily can identify the evil. This is them. There is us and there is them. We are the good ones. They are the bad ones. And what should be our attitude towards those bad ones? We should do whatever we can to A, stay away, B, make sure we define them clear and we know how to describe and understand and identify who they are, and really do the best we can, never look at their faces, because they're bad. We represent light. They represent darkness. They are the dark people. We are good ones. Boy, Rabotai, what Avraham Avinu is teaching us, I'm willing to learn it and to fight it for the rest of my life. What Avraham Avinu is teaching us is one of the most difficult concepts to digest. Avraham Avinu is telling us that the real attitude towards the bad is nothing but a mirror towards what we call the good. Avraham Avinu is saying, when you see Sodom, do not try to destroy them. Ask yourself, what is missing in my light that darkness has a chance to dwell in? You get this? In other words, this world is nothing but a scale. It's only a scale. In other words, there is kedusha and there is a tumah. There is holiness and there is impurity. There is purity and impurity. This is the balance in life. There is good, there is bad, there is evil, there is righteous. When you see evil flying high, there is only one question, one relevant question you have to ask yourself. What's wrong with me that they are flying high? What is missing in the kedusha that the tum'ah takes over? What in the world of Torah we practice is not attractive enough? It's not shining enough to attract people in. Why, when we are presenting any kind of lectures in the world, you can fill up thousands of people that will pay $5,000 in? But when we share Torah, when we represent Torah, it's not as attractive. When we see evil, this is nothing but a sign for us or a wandering box for us. How am I accountable of its existence? Am I accountable for its existence? The answer is yes. As painful as it might sound. If there is enough tum'ah in the world, all it means is there is not enough kedusha in the world. And instead of focusing my eyes with my fingers on others and say, they are, the question is, what are we doing? Comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Avraham Avinu, alav shalom, our father, comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu to him and he said, Avraham, you are the epitome of chesed. You are the epitome of goodness in the world. Guess what? Across the street from you, there is a place called Sodom va'amora, evil. Said HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Amechase ani me'Avraham asher ani oseh. Is there a way for me to punish Sodom without telling Avraham? I have to tell Avraham. Lama? Because when Avraham will see Sodom, Avraham Avinu will teach us what to do to increase Hesed, so Sodom will never have a space to exist. So the idea is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Avraham Avinu, when you see Sodom, elevate Hesed. That's why I have to tell you. It's not sharing the news. It's not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Avraham Avinu, look, we are buddies. We're friends. You know, I have some plans I got to share with you. No. I want to let you know Sodom exists. When Avraham Avinu hears that, he fights for Sodom, but not just for Sodom, for himself. Avraham Avinu said, Ribono shel olam, Agoy gam tzadik taharog. When you kill Sodom, do you think you only destroy Sodom? Who you're destroying? Me too. Because if you destroy Sodom, the message I get is that my Hesed was not enough. Because if they exist, what about me? Shofet kol haaretz lo ya'aseh mishpat. Are you telling me that my Hesed is not enough? Halila lecha. Lehamit katzadik karasha. You are destroying tzaddik and rasha. Who is the rasha? Sodom. Who is the tzaddik? Me. Maybe we will find some tzaddikim in the city, 50, 45, 40, whatever the number is. And how is that going to help if you find 50 tzaddikim? Sodom is still Sodom. Said Avraham Avinu, if we can find 50 tzaddikim in Sodom, we can elevate Hesed in Sodom, they will disappear by themselves. They will disappear by default. That's why at the very beginning, Avraham Avinu, alav shalom, we asked, is what he did in Hesed was overboard? What Avraham Avinu is teaching us is one thing. In the world of Hesed, you have to understand something. Do you know what you are fighting against? Do you know what you are up to? What you are up to against? Do you know what's in front of you? The level of impurity, the level of evil that will fight you will be so tremendous. Yes, go overboard in Hesed. Hesed should not have limits. Hesed should not have borderlines. Go and serve just like Borei Olam. V'halachta bidrachav. You should follow the footsteps of Borei Olam. And in the world of Hesed, does HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when He gives us life and all the blessings that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is blessing us with, does HaKadosh Baruch Hu has any heshbonot we deserve? We don't. What do we deserve? What do we deserve? Getting all the blessings from Borei Olam, from breathing to walking to being healthy to being fed, and you name it, endless amount of berachot Borei Olam is blessing us with. That's Borei Olam v'rav Hesed. Do we deserve any of that? Do we even begin to appreciate Borei Olam in accordance to what Borei Olam really should be appreciated for? But it keeps going. Avraham Avinu said, yes, I know that I'm creating overboard Hesed, but in this world, go and create overboard Hesed. With absolutely no limit, no judgmental, and no, I don't know if you deserve this Hesed. I already helped you once, no? So I need to help you twice, I need to help you this, I have to help you that. I mean, why don't you get up on your own feet and create a life for yourself? I mean, how long are you going to be dependent on me and da da da? Said Avraham Avinu, the most powerful lesson in the world of Botai. This is scary, but it's true. If we see people that are not coming to Bet HaKnesset, please do not fall into the trap of judging those who don't come. This is such an evil society. People prefer Vegas than going to Bet HaKnesset. Such a terrible, terrible people. Jews are losing it. Has v'shalom. Hello? Do you want people to come to Bet HaKnesset? Make Bet HaKnesset the most attractive and pleasant and beautiful and joyful place to be. Do not fight darkness. Create light. Smile to people. Show people love and care. Create the Torah that we practice, the Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu meant to give us. There is no force in the world, not technology, not iPhones, not any evil in the world that has any rights to exist if we keep the Torah the way Borei Olam gave it to us. And this is nothing but an opportunity for us to do the Heshbon Nefesh, to ask ourselves, evil exists? Yes. How am I responsible for it? I'm responsible for them doing this? Sir, as much as you hate to hear that, the answer is yes. We need to create more love, more care, more connection to the Torah, more connection to mitzvot, more connection to truthfulness among ourselves. We have no privilege to fight, to argue, to play politics. Sometimes we go to Bet HaKnesset and people see all kinds of issues and ego trips, games, and make no mistakes, people are not blind and they have feelings and they see it. And when they say politics in Bet HaKnesset, I prefer politics on TV. My Fox News is much better than politics in Bet HaKnesset. It's much more fun. So what Avraham Avinu is teaching us is nothing but the power of accountability for us to be accountable to the goodness, to the hesed, to the care that we have to create among ourselves. And don't worry about evil. Don't worry about them. There is no them. If you do what we need to do in the right way, the them will be attracted to us. Maybe we're not attractive enough to attract people to Avodat Hashem that we need to do. We should increase Avodat Hashem in truthfulness, in lights, in love, and in connection, so we can be the shiny, shiny society and shiny people that's serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that every single one that will see it will be attracted to it. They will be attracted. Just be what you want them to be. Do not play against anything. Play for everything. And when you play for, the ones you are feeling that they are against you will join you in no time. Be the best we can in Avodat Hashem, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we will learn this from Avraham Avinu. Increase Hesed. Do not worry about evil. Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the zechut to, literally speaking, be busy with Hesed, be busy with care for others, be busy with compassion to others. And the more we do this, the more we follow the footsteps of Avraham Avinu, we will eliminate, Has v'shalom, any negativity in the world by default, without focusing on that and without pushing this away. Just increase, Be'ezrat Hashem, the light that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us to use. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Thank you. לא צריך כפיים.